Welcome to the Labour Force. I am Bongeni Muchwa. The future of South African Airways is in the spotlight once again. This after the business rescue practitioners who've been working to save the national airline from liquidation over the past 15 months say finally their job is done. But is it really? South African Airways, once a source of national pride, now a big drain on the fiscus. After billions of rand poured in by the government in order to fund its rescue from search and collapse, the business rescue practitioners claim to have successfully resuscitated it back to good health, saying it is now solvent and liquid.
Business rescue practitioners want to end their relationship with SAA at the end of this month, claiming that it has been a success because they say that the airline is now both solvent and liquid, and that was where their responsibility began and ended. That may be the case thanks to a huge input of funds from the government, who have put in essentially 26 billion rand, which is about as much as the airline had lost in its previous history. So it's arguable that it has been a success because it's just taken massive funds from government, but the business rescue practitioners have achieved some notable victories. They have managed to enormously reduce the labour force, even though there is still an ongoing battle with certain unions, particularly SAPA with the supply of pilots. And the business rescue practitioners have succeeded in reducing the leases from about 30 billion rand to 1.7 billion rand. So definitely some major wins that they can notch up.
An even bigger question remains, is SAA now ready to fly again? If so, when?
There's a huge difference between the airline being returned back to its own management and being able to get back into the air. It's just very far from being able to do so. At a macroeconomic level, it's just not going to happen for at least 6 to 9 months, simply because the effect of the COVID pandemic is still being felt. And airlines are not flying. In fact, more and more of late, we are seeing airlines reducing their air services to South Africa. Just today, I see that Emirates is reducing its flights further. So there's no space in the market because of COVID for SAA to return to flying operations. On top of that, the airline just won't get back in the air and start operating profitably. It will in fact lose even more money when it starts getting back in the air, because it's going to have to try and get back its market share, and to do that it's going to be flying uneconomic loads at uneconomic prices, ticket prices, while it tries to encourage people to come back and to SAA who have learned to start flying with, say, Emirates or Qatar or Ethiopian and all the other competitors. So the losses will be even bigger when the airline returns to flying than they currently are.
Both the SAA Business Rescue Practitioners and the Department of Public Enterprises are scheduled to appear before Parliament today to give details about the way forward. Bongeni Muchwa, SABC News, Johannesburg. For more on the current state of affairs and the future of SAA, I'm joined by Mashudu Raphetha, who is the former president of the National Transport Movement and is now the General Secretary of the newly formed Dynamic People's Union of South Africa. Good afternoon, Mashudu.
Good afternoon, Mbongeni, and good afternoon to the viewers out there.
Obviously, quite a lot is happening behind the scenes. The last time we had you on the show, you were the president of the National Transport Movement, which you had led as a breakaway from SATAU. Now you have broken away from your own breakaway to form another breakaway, which is called now the Dynamic People's Union. Please just briefly explain what is going on.
The Dynamic People's Union of South Africa is not necessarily a breakaway. This is an organization that is going to bring the difference in the landscape of the labor force that we have out there. We are dynamic, so clearly this is the mix that we are bringing in the entire industry. We are bringing youth and diversity at the workplace, and we've already started, and we're glad that it will go far because it's led by young people.
Okay, wonderful. Now, back to SAA, you have been involved with the business rescue process from the beginning up until now, and I believe that you still have members at SAA. Have all the historical issues been addressed properly now? The issue of the voluntary severance packages, have they all been paid out to those who applied for them? And also the outstanding salaries to the employees, is that all sorted now?
Yes, I can safely confirm that the voluntary severance packages were all paid. The outstanding salaries, as agreed in December, have been paid. But we are glad that we managed to engage the business rescue practitioners to then continue to make payments for the remaining employees. But what is very much important, Mbongeni and the viewers out there, we only have a surplus of 300 employees who are going to be placed on the TLS. And we have started running a petition as DIPUSA, or the Dynamic People's Union of South Africa, to say we are appealing to the public to absorb that 300, at least if they can be absorbed, and then we allow SAA to start flying. We are very worried that the tickets are still not yet for sale. And you remember that ComAir became or went on business rescue way after SAA went in, and they then completed their business rescue. They are even flying. So our worry this time is really that SAA must resume flying anytime soon.
As far as you are aware, is there money available and enough money for SAA to resume flying at the moment?
Part of the 10.5 billion, Mbogeni, there was a 2 billion for capital. But we know that there are rock elements that are still coming up, especially the violence behavior of racism. Because if we are going to have a group of employees who still believe that they were self-entitled and then don't want to bury the past, then it is a problem. But we know that part of the 10.5 billion, there was an operating capital, and SAA has got the machine. The necessary skills are there. We have to start flying, as in yesterday, at least domestic.
Of course, there are a lot of building blocks that must be put in place. For instance, there is currently no executive management that is in place. There is no CEO and many other things. Apparently also say it doesn't even have a fleet anymore. And that will all take time. The employees that have been retained to work as part of the new airline, are you confident that they are going to be able to continue being paid for however long it takes to resume operations?
We are very much confident that if SAA is to start flying tomorrow, it will generate revenue. Currently, the BRPs have already indicated that this airline is solvent. So the pronouncement of the strategic equity partner is very much vital. And as soon as we finalize that, then clearly we also avoid the interference of a political cadre deployment and have a proper CEO that is has got a financial acumen. Then we will go far. But we believe that the current employees that have remained, at least they will be able to carry on and ensure that SAA becomes a force it's used to be reckoned with as soon as possible.
Well, Mashudu, it's always a pleasure having you on the show, and we wish you luck with your new union, the Dynamic People's Union of South Africa. And of course, we'll be keeping an eye on the developments around SAA as they unfold. Up next, The Alternative Investor with Nastasia Arendse. Stay with us.